On Friday, June 21st, 2014, 26-year-old Diana Duve went missing. Diana's last message to her mother early that morning stated only that she would not be returning home. Then, there was silence. Investigators tracked clues left behind from her last night out, friends and witnesses who helped piece together a timeline and point them towards a suspect. Days later, Diana's car was discovered abandoned in a store parking lot an hour from her home. And yet more devastating discoveries were still to be made. Hi there, I'm Kevin, and welcome to Just Thought Lounge. Today's case unravels rapidly. A mysterious missing persons turned into a manhunt, which led to an arrest. And it all came together inside of 1 week. This is the story of how even careful killers get caught. Let's take a look. Before we jump into our case, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, June's Journey. June's Journey is a hidden object mystery game that is set in the glamorous 1920s. Players navigate this immersive world as June Parker, a clever amateur detective investigating her sister's murder while uncovering shocking family secrets. The gameplay revolves around hidden object scenes that challenge your observation skills to reveal clues and drive the story forward. When revisiting these scenes, additional items are added, which keeps the gameplay fresh and challenging. As you progress through the story, you can decorate your island with creative items. The island expands into multiple unique areas, which allows you to build your world the way you choose. There are special events and seasonal content with unique rewards. For example, as I was playing, I unlocked the Garden Soiree set, which gave me access to this awesome cake cart. What kept me coming back was trying to perfect each scene and collect the items as quickly as possible. The game grew more challenging and rewarding as more and more items were added. They even have a leaderboard so you can compete with your friends for the best score. Look for JTL Kevin to try and beat my personal bests. Download June's Journey for free by clicking on the link in the description and pinned comment, or scanning the QR code. June's Journey is available on Apple and Android smartphones and tablets, as well as PC. Lena Andrews arrived at the Vero Beach police station at just after 8 a.m. on June 21st, 2014. She was there to report her daughter, 26-year-old Diana Duve, missing. The last communication she had with Diana was a text message sent just past 1:30 a.m. the previous day, stating that she would not be returning home that night. That message was sent in her native Russian, the language Diana used to communicate with her mother. Every message Lena sent following that, asking where she was and when she would be home, went unanswered. Eventually, Lena made contact with Diana's boyfriend, 31-year-old Mike Jones. Mike told Lena that Diana was sleeping at his house. He would have her call later. But no call was ever made. Even more troubling, following this exchange with Lena, Mike Jones also dropped out of contact. Beginning that Saturday, June 22nd, no one could reach the young couple. And neither Diana, a dedicated nurse, or Mike, a successful wealth planner, had shown up for work on Friday. "31-year-old Mike Jones had earned a master's in law degree from the University of Miami. After launching his career at the investment bank Merrill Lynch, based in Fort Lauderdale, he had accepted a role at PNC Wealth Management in Vero Beach. Mike oversaw millions of client funds, and by most accounts, he was respected and well-liked by colleagues and clients alike. A regular on the local bar scene, it was at one of these establishments that Mike had met Diana roughly 6 months earlier. By the spring of 2014, they were living together in Mike's residence at 1620 42 Square. According to friends, Diana was never as smitten with Mike as he was with her. The 26-year-old has always been popular and made friends easily. It had taken some effort from Mike to win her over. Born in Moldova, Diana had moved to Florida with her mother at the age of 13 when Lena married stepfather Bill Andrews. Arriving as a young teen without a word of English, she had learned rapidly and fit in just as quickly. Diana graduated college with a nursing degree with a specialization in oncology. She worked with cancer patients at a local medical clinic, a role in which she was deeply committed. That Friday, however, she did not show up for work, and no one at the clinic had heard from her. A search warrant was drawn up for Mike Jones's house in Vero Beach. It was the last known location for both Mike and Diana. When they entered, they found no one at home. It also seems that not much appeared out of place. Neither Diana's black Nissan nor Mike's gold Mazda was at the residence, though a neighbor told police they recalled seeing Diana's vehicle parked out front on Friday night. In the garage on the floor near the base of the door, investigators identified droplets of a blood-like substance. The need to locate the couple intensified. Notifications to law enforcement agencies across the state were made in an effort to find Mike and Diana's vehicles and hopefully lead to their location. Meanwhile, detectives began to retrace their movements prior to those early morning texts on the 21st. On the evening of Wednesday, June 18th, 2 days before the disappearance, Diana and Mike went to the Scampi Grill for dinner. Michael Major had been their server. Michael recognized the couple as soon as they came in. He and a coworker had been out for drinks just a few days before at a bar called The Grove, where they had encountered Mike and Diana.
I went up to the table to introduce myself. They seemed a little on edge.
Did you know him at that time?
No, we had seen him. Actually, one of the employees here, Kevin, and I had encountered him Friday night.
When you say him, who are you talking about?
Michael.
Okay. You're talking about Michael Jones?
Yes, sir. Okay. We were at the Grove having a couple beverages after work, and Kevin made contact with the girlfriend at the time, and just casual conversation, and he came up with attitude and stuff, and we were already a few drinks into the night, and we're like, this is garbage, so we're on a long day, let's just leave it at that and go home. So we did. We left it at that and went home. So when they came in Wednesday night, Kevin was working with me, and he goes, "That guy look familiar to you?" I'm like, "Yeah, he does." He goes, "That's the guy from the Grove that tried to get into it with me."
Michael told the detective that a short exchange Kevin had with Diana at the Grove caused a jealous reaction from Mike, who unnecessarily confronted them in a threatening manner. The servers de-escalated the exchange and left, only to see the couple show up at the Scampi Grill days later. Their demeanor was tense. Michael noted how they seemed to maintain a heated exchange throughout their dinner, though keeping their voices low enough to conceal their words.
You could visibly see that something was going on with her. The demeanor didn't change at all. And I looked through service window at the table every so often just to check on them, and you could see that there was agitation between the two of them. I was talking to Kevin about it too. I'm like, dude, that is not a happy table. I'm like, there's a lot of agitation going on. And he noticed it too.
Would you say that he's aggressive with her?
Oh, the way he was talking to her? Absolutely. His body motion was absolutely aggressive.
Mike and Diana left Scampi Grill at around 8:30 that evening. An hour later, Mike was back at the Grove. He was alone. A friend who saw him there later told detectives that Mike was visibly upset and had been crying.
I saw Mike Jones on Wednesday, and he was sitting by himself. He was texting on his phone, and then he left shortly thereafter. But I just thought it was really bizarre behavior for him to be so upset in public. I got the impression that he'd been given some really bad news.
By all accounts, Diana and Mike had ended their relationship over dinner at Scampi's Grill on Wednesday night. Mike complained to coworkers the following day that Diana had left without removing all of her clothing from his apartment. He also told them that he had plans to visit friends in Orlando, which served as an explanation for his absence. But he did not leave right away. Despite their apparent breakup, he and Diana were spotted out together once more the very next night. A bartender at What a Tavern reported that after having a drink, Mike paid their tab by credit card and the two left, together, at just after 1 a.m. It was the last sighting of Diana before she lost contact with everyone, and she was getting into her car with her now ex-boyfriend. This was not the first time that the two had parted ways. Diana's best friend and sometimes roommate, Chelsea, told detectives that their first split had taken place back in April. During a heated argument at their home, Mike's yelling and threats caused a neighbor in the building to place a call to 911, concerned for Diana's safety.
She called me hysterically crying. She asked me where I was, and I said I was working. I'm still, at the bar closing up. She's like, okay, well, I'm coming up there. And she came up hysterical, talking about how they were in a fight, and at one point during the fight, he ended up choking her.
Chelsea said she could clearly see the signs of the attack on her friend's neck. They had documented the incident with photos. The next day, accompanied by Chelsea's father, they went to Mike's apartment and collected her things. She moved out, and that was meant to be the end of it.
They went through a period of time of not really talking or speaking, and then I guess over time they ended up back together, and everything seemed fine. That night caught everybody off guard. No one saw that one happen.
Though Mike's temper on that night back in April had come as a surprise to many of Diana's friends, it seems it was not out of character. Mike was described as a controlling and jealous partner, and a man with a bad temper. Diana's friend Kyle told detectives that he tried to warn her off of Mike, sensing that he was not a good person. On one occasion, they ran into each other at a bar and greeted each other with a hug. Spotting the exchange, Mike wasted no time confronting Kyle in what he described as a jealous rage. It was behavior reminiscent of what Michael and Kevin had experienced only days before the disappearance.
And he pursued again with more aggression to try to
Fight you?
fight me.
What exactly say to you, Kyle?
Didn't really say nothing, just stared at me and started walking towards me like with anger.
Did he have his fists?
Yes, fists were clenched. He was ready to fight. Out of rage and jealousy, not much. Okay. I believe, it was a while back, but I believe he said, "Get that fuck off her," and it was a simple hug as a friend.
Okay, would you say he's got some jealousy issues?
Yes.
Further digging into Mike Jones's past revealed a criminal history, a conviction in Fort Lauderdale for aggravated stalking of an ex-girlfriend, a felony. On Sunday, June 22nd, only days after Diana's last confirmed communication, Mike Jones's gold Mazda was spotted in the parking lot of a Hampton Inn on Reynolds Drive in Fort Pierce. Despite his apparent plans to visit friends in Orlando, surveillance footage captured him checking into a room only 25 minutes away from his home in Vero Beach. He paid cash and gave explicit instructions to hotel staff: do not put through any phone calls and do not tell anyone that he was there. Detectives were nonetheless handed a keycard to his room, and they paid him a visit.
You have a pretty good reason why we're here, I'm sure. Basically, the reason why we're here. We're still trying to find Diana. Okay? That's the biggest reason why we've been doing the last couple days. That's what we're going to continue to do. Okay? I'd like to talk to you about her whereabouts. Okay? But I have to read you Miranda warning first, okay? You understand that so far? I know you got your law degree, so you're really intelligent.
Remember again why we're here, and that's to find her.
I'll tell you unequivocally, I don't know where she is. Before I waive my right, I'll tell you I don't know where she is. Just if that helps you.
Following this brief statement, Mike asserted his right to counsel, and the conversation ended. Less than 12 hours after Mike's Mazda was spotted in Fort Pierce, Diana's black Nissan was located in a Publix parking lot in Melbourne, a nearly hour drive from her home in Vero Beach. Officers opened the trunk of the car to find Diana Duve, dressed in only her underwear. She had likely been deceased for days. An autopsy would later determine that Diana had suffered blunt force trauma to her head. She had also been strangled. It was a devastating outcome to the missing person search that family and friends had desperately hoped would result in locating Diana alive.
Anybody that got a chance to meet Diana knows that she just brought a smile to their face and was a bright spot in their life. You get to know who people are, and she's one of those people that you won't find anybody that has anything bad to say about her. You could see from the outreach from the community that just speaks volumes of who she was. It's a devastating loss.
Detectives spoke with a Publix employee who had arrived for her shift just before 5 a.m. on Saturday morning. The employee recalled watching as the black Nissan drove in and parked. She did not, however, get a clear view of the driver.
So I said, well, I seen when the cars pulled up, I was sitting in my car.
Okay.
And the bakery manager, she said, what, you seen the cars pull up? Which day? And I was like, so it was either Saturday or Friday. It was like 4:45 in the morning, because I get here like 4:45 and I sit in my car.
Did you see who was driving the black vehicle?
No.
The employee thought that perhaps a second vehicle, which entered the lot only moments later, could have been traveling with the black Nissan. If so, it would suggest the killer had an accomplice, though the witness did not see an interaction between the drivers. So, investigators began to contact local taxi services. They reasoned that the driver who abandoned Diana's car needed to leave the parking lot somehow. This logical deduction proved accurate. A Black Diamond taxi reported collecting a fare a quarter mile from the Publix from the local Wendy's restaurant at roughly 8:30 a.m. on Saturday morning. The destination was Vero Beach. The driver told detectives that he collected a thin-built white man in a red hoodie from the bus stop. He remembered it clearly because it was the only fare he had that day, and it was unusual to collect someone from the side of the road for a long journey. They made small talk on the way.
How did you get down here? And he said, well, he came down with a friend of his.
Mm-hmm.
And he said her car broke down.
Okay.
And he had no way to get back. So she didn't get her car fixed. And he said, oh, I don't know, she was pretty pissed anyway, so I doubt she would have gave me a ride back.
The taxi driver dropped off the man in the hoodie at an address in Vero Beach directly across the street from the apartment at 1620 42 Square. When asked to identify the man in a police lineup, the driver identified Michael Jones. On Wednesday, June 25th, 1 week from the day Diana broke up with him, Michael Jones was formally charged with first-degree murder. He was held in custody without bond.
This is a tragic case of dating and domestic violence by a weak, insecure, cowardly individual who felt the need to control his relationship with Diana Duve by way of verbal and physical abuse. Quite frankly, Michael David Jones disgusts me and is very poor excuse for a man.
Upon his arrest, officers located a second burner phone amongst his things, the same phone that had been used to call the taxicab company for a ride from the Melbourne Wendy's. Had he used this phone exclusively, instead of occasionally powering on his regular device, detectives may have been unable to track him. As it was, they could trace the purchase of the burner phone to a Walmart in Palm Bay. At approximately 6:52 a.m. on Saturday the 21st, a black four-door Nissan was captured arriving at the store. Cameras in the parking lot and inside showed only Mike Jones emerging from the vehicle and entering the store. He purchased the flip phone and was captured leaving. Though he drove Diana's car, she was not seen with him. Of course, if the timeline established by detectives was correct, Diana was already in the trunk when Mike drove her car to the Walmart that morning. Michael Jones pleaded not guilty to the murder and awaited his trial from county jail. He refused to speak with detectives.
I want to point out to you, the first time we talked to you, we were there to talk to you about a missing person, okay? Now we're here to talk to you about the murder, okay? That being said, I'm going to go ahead and read your Miranda rights. You understand?
Yes.
Okay.
Using my right to silence and unequivocally requesting my right to counsel.
So you don't want to talk to us?
I request my right to counsel. Okay. That's all you had to say to us.
During this period, investigators were learning more about the wealth planner's sordid past. Ex-girlfriends reported controlling behavior and a pattern of emotional and physical abuse. It also emerged that Mike had a history of telling grandiose, overt lies. Though he drove a 10-year-old Mazda, he claimed this was only to keep his other car, a Porsche, from becoming damaged. He also spoke about the penthouse he claimed to own in Fort Lauderdale. While in law school, he told professors and some fellow students that he was battling cancer, which made it difficult for him to regularly attend classes and meet project deadlines. And apparently, he was also a self-made man. He claimed to have been adopted and raised in poverty. These lies helped him get admitted to academic programs and boost his reputation with colleagues. But his tales were a stark contrast to the wealthy upbringing and private school education that his biological parents had actually provided him. After his arrest, his many connections abandoned him. His lies had been revealed. While awaiting trial, Mike was supported by a single coworker who visited him only a few times.
Can I ask you an honest question?
Sure.
Other than you and her,
Uh-huh.
do you think I really have any friends left?
Don't consider that they're not your friends. They're just not in a good place, you know? And I hope they still are your friends, you know? Okay? Have you seen your family at all, Michael?
No, you're the only person that has visited me, and literally I got one letter from Guy and one letter from you, and that's it.
Do you want me to contact your family?
No, my attorney talked to him.
The police detective has said to me that they've tried to talk with you and that you won't talk with them. And I guess I don't care for it's not like I want to know why you won't talk to them. I want the best for you, Michael. And I'm just wondering why you think it's beneficial to you not to talk to them.
Yeah, that's something I can't talk about.
You know, Michael, they don't tell us details and stuff, and this is upset for you, I'm sure, but they tell us that they have lots of evidence. That if you don't weigh in at all, that your voice is not going to be heard, Michael, and the next thing you know, we'll be in the middle of some big sensational trial. I just don't want to see you. I just don't want to see you publicized or damaged further than you need to be.
Yeah, I don't know that I have much choice in that matter, though. Well, I think that in the next few days, I think they're going to decide whether they go with the death penalty or not.
I don't know what the facts are, but you can't change the facts, Michael. And if the facts aren't good, you need to find a place to... You don't want to die, do you?
No, that's a pretty scary thing.
Michael Jones stood trial for Diana Duve's murder in October 2019. The state declared their intention to seek the death penalty should the jury return a guilty verdict. The defense argued that the evidence for murder was circumstantial. They suggested that Diana could have sustained her fatal injuries accidentally. If that was the case, Mike was only guilty of panicking by placing her in the trunk of her car, abandoning it in a parking lot, and hiding at a Hampton Inn. A medical expert for the defense testified that the blunt force injury to her head alone could have killed her, or Diana could have still been alive when she was placed in the trunk. Under intense cross-examination, however, even this expert conceded that her death was best categorized as a homicide. Michael Jones elected not to testify at his trial. Whatever his version of events, it would not be heard. It took the jury only 45 minutes to convict him of first-degree murder. The same jurors would return the next month for the sentencing phase of the trial, when they would decide if he should be put to death.
Michael David Jones can never be let back out into the public. He's a murderer. He stole the life from my daughter. And, I don't want him to even stay the rest of his life in jail. I want murder one sentence down on this guy.
Lena Andrews spoke extensively during the penalty phase. Diana had been her only child. The two had been extremely close. She spoke of the plans that her daughter had made for her own life and how thoughts of that lost future would haunt her forever. Despite these heartbreaking pleas, when the jury returned, there was one holdout. The vote was 11-1 in favor of imposing a sentence of death.
The jury unanimously find that the defendant, Michael Jones, should be sentenced to death. No.
A recent change in Florida law meant that for the sentence to be imposed, the decision needed to be unanimous.
You came to my home. You sit at my table and you took my daughter away from me. There is no punishment, no harsh enough for what you took from me. If hate could kill, you would be dead now for what you took from me.
In November 2019, Michael David Jones was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
It's all gone for me. I'm never going to have grandchildren. I'm never going to see my daughter getting old. Wise, get married, be happy. I know she's gone, but it's so hard to believe in that.
And that was the case of Diana Duve. Thanks for watching, and many thanks again to June's Journey for sponsoring this video. You can download June's Journey for free by clicking on the link in the description or in our pinned comment. I'm Kevin, this is Just Thought Lounge, and I'll see you in the next one.
Gotta take my time, cause these crimes get deep, but these stories can't hide. Let me find my seat. Kevin, go ahead and settle in. Gotta be selective, doing all the research, keeping it objective. Always been effective, can say he got a knack. Pick of the litter, you see how Newton got his back. Yeah, the content that you need, this could be a new sign. We talking the content.